Hello to all of my BPTV friends, Facebook friends, YouTube friends. I'm Alan Levine, the Talking Machine. I'm honored to do my 21st Maria's Ideas Teaches Us to Paint.
Hi everyone, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're new to the show, we're happy to have you here. And we are here with a very sweet, awesome person, lady, friend, Roberta Kozel. So she's going to paint with us today, and she inspired the artwork, and I'll let her tell you about what she does.
So I'm Roberta. I grew up in the South Side. Spent a lot of time there working at Rocco's Beauty Shop. And I've progressed now to owning my own salon in Greetree, and I work a lot with cancer survivors and trichotillomania clients and clients who are hair challenged is probably the best way I can explain it.
What a good person you are, and I grew up in Greetree, so we got a connection there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've owned my own salon for about 17 years now, and I have a staff of great hairstylists, and that's what we do all day long, work with wigs and hair extensions and hair pieces and help people out, make them feel better about themselves, and it's nice to give them a feeling of self-confidence when they walk out the door. Yeah.
And that's where I go, and the place is amazing, and you feel like you're going to your friend's house, and everybody's just so happy, and it's a really good positive vibe, but relaxing, and you see everyone going out with just happy. It's great. And
we have fun.
Yeah,
we
it's
have
really
fun.
great.
Look at my co-host's hair. That is wonderful. Both of you
It
have
changes
great
all the
hair.
time, but
Like
It does change every day.
Mine's been fading a little. I used to have dark hair and dark mustache.
Yeah.
I want to go blonde. Do you think I should?
Sure.
Okay, I'm not going.
We can,
I'm staying this way.
do it. We
I
can
know
do
you
it.
would do it.
And it's called Salon.
Salon
Iaomo.
Iaomo, IAOMO, which means I am on my own.
I love that.
Wow.
I didn't know. I didn't learn
like
that
your
till
deep-
recently. I love
like
it.
your deep thinking
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
17 years.
It's great.
Wow.
So so that's what inspired. So I asked Roberta, I said, what would you like to paint? And she sent me some ideas, but I'm like, this is the one. So we are painting the Highland cow with, at first I called it Bad Hair Day, but I thought this good hair day. It's a good hair day.
We're staying
it is a good
positive
hair
for
day.
This
you.
little girl, she had
Yes.
a good hair day. Let's stay positive. So this is what we're painting today. So thank you for the inspiration, Roberta.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I can't wait to
I'm
dive
excited.
All right, let's get our brushes. So we are using, I try to keep it at 6 colors, but we are using 7 colors today. We're using a blue. If you have your own paints, it doesn't have to be the exact same blue. This is an ultramarine blue if you want to know, which is a little bit warmer, but it doesn't matter. It
Whoa.
doesn't have to look just
Thanks
like
for
ours.
going deep on
Yeah,
that. I
so-
didn't know.
Yeah, blue, black, violet. This is a Venetian red. A Venetian red is just like a brick red, yellow and green and white. And these are acrylics.
Some great colors.
And so we're gonna make
And
some
Maria,
colors.
did
make
you
some
have
colors.
Stage Boy help to add the little addition?
The little, well, these are, and I tried to repurpose a lot of containers, things that to keep your paint in.
You're the master of
Well,
that.
and a lot of things that are for sale for paints, they're getting a little better now, but I use muffin tins. These are from some kind of a pot sticker,
Yeah, no,
something. And I'm like, these are perfect.
It's perfect.
So,
It is perfect.
Yeah.
So go look for copycatting Maria.
Yeah, so they're
Because
just,
these are so cool.
yeah,
I love them.
They work. And then this I just cut. So egg cartons, whatever, different
All right.
things. You don't have to go out and buy all kind of expensive things.
I'll
Just
save
use what
my
you
egg
have.
cartons now.
Yes. All right, so let's get started. We are going to paint with the background first because that's typically what you do when you paint with acrylics. We have a paper plate. This is a little bit coated, which is better than the ones that are not coated, so it doesn't absorb
I noticed
the colors
the
as
difference
much.
this week.
Sometimes I use the other ones. The foam ones squeak a lot, so I don't use those as much. So we're going to work on the background first. We did add a couple other brushes. I'll give you the list of the brushes here anyway, but typically we have a 1-inch flat. This is a mop brush. It's a softer. This is for blending. I'm not sure if we'll use that or not. This is a a natural bristle. These are synthetic, a fan brush. And then our typical, our flat 1/2 inch, our little round, and then a filbert. This is a size 11.
Thanks for going over that, because I saw the addition.
Yeah, and some of those we have the graphics for, some we don't. So anyway, we'll see what we get to there. But let's start with our 1 inch flat brush. We grab that one, and then usually you want to wet it, take the extra water off, and what that does, it helps accept the paint and absorb the paint, and it also sometimes they are a little stiffer from like a glue in there when you're if it's new. So we are going to, I have my plate here. So in this picture we have a blue, like a gray blue, which I'll show you how I did that, blending into the yellows and the white. It's always lighter, brighter at the horizon, because this, whether the sun is coming up or going down, it's just always brighter there. So
and please follow the pickle. It's not like the bouncing ball that we grew up with, but follow the pickle.
I forget about my pickle sometimes.
It's a classic. It's out today.
Heinz pickle, yes. So we're going to go from light to dark. Now, when you paint layers, you usually go work dark, and as it dries, you bring your light highlights on top. But we're blending, so it's easier to start with a light color, because instead of cleaning out your brush, sometimes you want to keep that existing color in there, and then it mixes and makes a new tone. And so we're going to work light to dark, okay?
Oh, thank you.
So what we're going to do is double load our brush. We're going to take, I'll put this here. We're going to take one corner of the brush and dip that in the white. Okay. And usually when I dip into the pot, I'll go into more the edge instead of right down in the center, so you don't contaminate your paint if you have another color on your brush.
This is deep for everybody.
So so then I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to put, because I don't want just the white, I want some yellow too, but now I'm going into the yellow. So I have yellow, not as much yellow on there, but I do have some white in the yellow. I'm not even mixing it on the palette. I'm mixing it right on the canvas.
Oh,
so I'm coming in right here.
This is Maria's ideas.
And these
teaches us to paint first.
No. And this brush, it is synthetic, but it's kind of flimsy. It's not as stiff, so I'm kind of like pushing it around a little bit just to blend. But you can see how nice and bright that is. And of course, we're going to load our brush again. So I'm keeping it, a little bit more white than the yellow for this lower part. I'm going over the drawing, the lines, and also I tend to forget this sometimes too. To draw each design, I do make a 10-minute tutorial for each one. So that's on my YouTube channel, which is Maria's Ideas Art. You can watch this on BPTV's YouTube. You can watch it on BPTV in Bethel Park, but for the tutorial, that's on my YouTube. So if you want to need help drawing it, it's like 10 minutes, anybody can draw. So you can see, that looks great.
I'm living proof of that,
yeah.
Yes.
So now, as you go up into more like the ear area, I'm dipping into more yellow, and now I'm going to just put a tiny bit of this Venetian red on my brush, okay? Just a tiny bit, and now you can see I'm putting that in there just a little bit, and you can see I'm just kind of pushing it around.
And that's in the ear there?
Just in that area.
Yeah.
That's about where I started it. Give it a second. And so again, you'll have to just reload your brush. You can always make it darker. It's a little easier. You can make it lighter too, but sometimes it's easier to just maybe hold back a little bit with the color. You can always add. So I'm not going into the white. I'm just going into the yellow and then a little bit of that Venetian red. So you can see as they're blending together. Now I can add, I added a little bit more on that one. Ooh, that's a little darker there, but that's okay. And again, you don't have to make it look like mine. Do your own thing. That looks good. Your brush strokes, whichever way you feel comfortable. A lot of times I'll do a cross-hatch technique, which is more like this. And it kind of cleans off the brush and you can move things around. But this one, since the brush is softer, I'm just kind of like smushing it around, even though I usually say don't smush.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're breaking your rules today, and it looks great.
Now, to go from this to get to that gray slate blue, this blue is very bold and it's much darker than I want. So I'm going to rinse my brush and I'm going to mix this. So I put the blue on my palette. because I'm going to try to mix a little bit on this first. So I have my blue. I'm going to put some white next to it. Okay, not in it, but next to it. Then I'll pull some of that blue in until I get, there's a light blue. It's okay. But if I want that to be a little bit more of a slate blue, some of this Venetian red is coming off of my brush, which is what I want in there anyway. Took a little bit of this Venetian red, and when you add that to the blue, it grays it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, that is not as blue as at the top, but that's a really pretty color to go from the Venetian red to the next. So I took the blue and put the white beside it and just incorporated the two until I liked the tone of that. And then I added a little bit of the Venetian red. Also, acrylics always dry darker. So I really like this color, but it's going to dry a little bit darker. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of white, and then it'll dry as I like it. If it starts to dry on your palette a little bit, just add a tiny bit of water. So you could see now when I come in, the reason this looks really nice along against this color is because it's made up of, it has the Venetian red in it. So it's cohesive, you know, it has some of that.
It just melts right in.
Yes, because we're incorporating some of the same colors. And then as I go up into the upper portion of the sky, now I want more of the blue in there because I just want it bluer at the top. So you can make it as dark or light as you want. So I'm using that same section on my plate, but now I'm pulling in more of the blue. And I'll get that. But you can see how pretty that's like a slate, a gray blue, because it's that Venetian red. If you don't have the Venetian red, you can add a brown. You can add a little bit of
I had to clean
red
mine off,
and
so
white.
I should do the Venetian red, white, and blue.
So I did the blue and the white next to each other on
Okay.
the palette.
All right.
And mixed the light blue, and then I added I know Alan likes to load his brush, like he's a little heavy-handed, and that's okay. Tiny bit of Venetian red if you want this color.
Okay.
Okay.
Just
There's
a touch.
no right or wrong. It's your thing, but if you're trying to achieve that, and then you can see
I am.
some of this.
Maria, look, I'm just touching it.
Yeah, and then put it beside it, Alan. Put it beside,
Okay.
and then you need still some more white there. It's still, yeah. I would clean your brush. You have a lot going on there.
Yes, thank you. I
Clean your
needed
brush.
that help.
Put the white beside the blue, not into the blue.
Okay.
And then pull them together. And then you could see as this is coming along, I'm overlapping some of these areas. Acrylics dry really quickly, so if you want to blend, you really need to keep a wet edge and keep it moving before it dries. If it does dry, you just go back over it again. You might have to overlap a little bit. And if you add water, be careful because I'll add some water here right now. But if you add too much, it will reactivate the paint that you just put down and pull it off, and you'll see the original canvas. So
Wow.
it's very different than painting with oils, but you just kind of have to do it and try it. You can't be afraid to try. You know, you could read, you could watch videos, but until you try it and you get used to it, then you know you'll get there. But look at yours, Roberta. I don't know if Dave's able to like show some of that, but look in Alan's too, just how I like how you're transitioning. So yours is bolder, and I love your brush strokes. Go for it. See mine, and it depends on my mood. Sometimes I paint softer, I blend more. Some days I don't know.
Little heavier handed?
Yeah, I like it. And you don't have to blend everything. Yeah, Alan's, I like his. He doesn't blend as much anymore. He kind of does his own thing. I like it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
maturing here.
And take your time. You don't have to, paint this fast. I'm just used to painting fast. But now I'm going to look and see like this. Again, this is not blended as much, but I kind of like that. That kind of makes it feel like, oh, maybe there's like a little cloud in there, whatever. But this looks beautiful. But you see how those colors, when you're mixing colors, and this is why it's important when you create a painting, you come up with your palette of colors. So if you mix any of these colors together, purple and the violet and the yellow, the green, you mix any of these together, it will work because they're all together in the palette. You can get so many different colors just from mixing each one, but because they are going to mix and kind of intermingle, cross-pollinate or whatever, they'll work because they're all in that same.
Just like
family.
coloring hair.
Yes.
It's
yes.
exactly
and you know what?
the
I'm glad
same
you
way.
brought that up because a lot of people don't realize, I don't think, when, like, if they come and they want, oh, I want this color, and you're like, man, that's not going to happen on that hair, right?
Right.
And how do you tell them? Like, because the color wheel, right? I even have my
Absolutely.
The color wheel comes into play, right, for hair.
We use that every single
Do you?
every
Yeah.
single day. Yes.
I love this
So
discussion.
what would be an example if someone that, you know, you're trying to explain to someone, wow, that you want this, but I have to do that, or it looks kind of funny or scary. I know I've gone from one color to next.
You're
and I'm
right.
like, ooh, that's
Well, the opposites cancel each other.
Right.
So if somebody wants to get rid of too much red in their hair, then we have to put on.
Whoa, I'm dealing with two
Yeah.
advanced ladies
Whoa.
here. You took it to
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
level. That
So
makes so much sense.
You have to use the absolute opposite of
Yep.
whatever's on the color wheel.
exactly.
So-
and it's the same thing when you paint,
Yeah.
but like you're trying to cancel a color when you're painting. We say knock it back or tone it down, because if we have a very bright red, here, let me show you right here. If we have, this is not a bright red, but this is still in the red family. So if we have this red here, so here's a little color theory lesson. So this is in the red family, brick red. But if I want that to be a darker, like a red brown or whatever, I'm not putting brown in there. I'm not putting black in there. I'm putting green, right? And
Yes.
you would know that. That's
Exactly.
That's why people that do hair, I always say, they're artists for your head.
I
They know
never
color.
realized this.
They know color, and
I
Yes.
salute you, Roberta.
There's a lot of chemistry
Yes,
involved.
and I
who
also
knew?
believe
Yeah.
that you guys would be good at sculpting, because
Wow, is
you
that
are
interesting?
taking someone's head and you have to imagine what it's going to become by removing, right? If you're
Yes.
cutting someone's hair, you have to remove, and that's what sculpting is. So I always say, you guys just get a bar of soap
You
or
have
something.
to
Try
know the
sculpt it.
voids. Yes.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
So here's some green. I'm going to put that. So if I mix this green with this red, now look, it's a real pretty darker. It looks like a brown
It's richer.
red, but
Yep.
it doesn't make it muddy and dirty. But yes, it's it's the
richer,
same
yeah.
thing with the hair. So be kind to your hairstylist and your hair
That's
people.
right.
When they say, "Oh, we're gonna do this," like I can remember, I've gone from. Yeah, I mean, my natural color is like very mousy now. It was blonde when I was younger,
Yeah.
but I've gone from reds to brown to this and that, and the things you guys have to do to get from one to the other, it's like
It's a lot of work.
wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, everybody thinks they can, go from black to blonde in
No.
one visit. It just doesn't work like that.
No.
For sure.
Yeah. But anyway, yes. So they're hair artists. That's how I see you guys. Just like chefs, I think are food artists.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Anyway, okay. So how are you guys doing with your
Good.
sky?
Good.
We're good. You guys
Good.
are fast painters.
I got some of the ears because I had the red out.
You just used it. That's
yeah,
cool.
so I just figure I'm going to break the rules and
No,
put a
there's
little
no
ear.
rules here.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And I'll do that when I'm working on a painting. I kind of like, okay, I'll
Go back and
just
see
to
something?
clean off my brush. Oh, what needs a color? So no, that's a good
Remember
technique,
I told
Alan.
you I'm feeling this before the
Yeah.
show?
Yes.
That's
It just
great.
popped up, so thank you.
Good, very good. All right, so we're either leave your brush in the water, but I usually try to rinse it and then dry it and lay it somewhere, keep it flat. If you leave it in the water too long, the bristles will bend. Once they bend, they never go back. So,
Whoa,
okay,
you heard that here.
that's right. So now we
They
are
don't go
taking
back.
our 1/2 inch flat
Okay.
brush. We're gonna wet it, take the extra water off. We can do this a couple different ways, but we are going to start with these big areas on the cow. So Highland cows are mostly a ginger color. They could be more yellow or white or golden color, but we amped up the ginger color here. So I started with the Venetian red. So I'm going to take that Venetian red. I'll put that on my palette. So now we are going to grab some colors and put them on our palette and not necessarily blend on the canvas as much. So I'll take some of the Venetian red. Let's see, let's take some yellow. We'll put that in another spot. And let's take some blue.
Whoa.
Put that in another.
What
So
a
3
combo.
areas, okay? So they're similar to the primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. So these will work well. So now I'm just cleaning my brush again because I have all these different colors on it. All right, so now what we're going to do is we want to block in, when you work dark to light typically with acrylic. So we're going to block in and work on the bold areas, but we're going to do the darker areas first. Okay, so and then there's another one here, and you can see that. So we're taking the Venetian red, and you can see when I load my brush, I'm flipping it back and forth to get that paint on both sides and keep that chiseled edge. So now I'm coming in, and I'm going to paint. Now I'm holding the brush vertically because their ears are kind of hairy, right? So I'm putting my brush this way and pulling up, and you can see that gives me that little
wispy look.
Yeah, you see how cute that is? So I'm holding it this way instead of flat. I'm holding it on its edge, and I'm pushing down, and then when I come to the outer ear, I just pull up and just let that little tail, those little tails show up. And now we're coming around, and then you also want to keep in mind the direction of the hair. Is it hair or fur?
Fur.
Fur?
Fur. Okay. Hair, fur. Okay. So there you go. And this is just the base. We're going to add other colors to it. So now we'll do the other one. Come over here. And again, you keep in mind which direction it grows. But it could be like, they're out in the wind, right? They could have a...
Yeah, they live out there.
They got some things going on with it. They don't have to be perfect. Like, you could put some that are going a different direction. They can be longer or shorter. And then we're also coming into the body of the cow. Now we still have to do this background here, but we just want to get this first layer on. Same thing. I'm still painting in the direction that fur would lay. Okay, so that's kind of around here. And it doesn't, you can still go in different directions with your brush like this too, but so kind of coming around. So we're really basically filling this all in, even though it's lighter in one section. And we have a light source is on the left side. It's brighter. So just kind of come all the way down into here, okay? And I'm purposely, you see how I'm kind of scumbling it and I'm leaving some open spaces. That's okay because we are going to layer it. So now I'm coming in with, I have still my Venetian red on my palette. I'm going to bring in some blue. I want to darken. So see that blue makes it really nice. I could have used the green as well. I just grabbed the blue. I just wanted to lean a little bit more toward, not as brown, but this would even take it more toward, I don't know, not purple, but it just kind of keeps it a little bit warmer. So now I'm coming in, I'm looking at the dark areas. And again, you can see, even though it's blue, I mix in, but these colors work, right? Because it's made up of these two colors in a palette. So it's darkest under the chin, and then I'm just cleaning off my brush and just bringing it out just lightly. And again, kind of leave some little spots because again, they're furry. And I can always make that a little darker if I have to. I usually go back in with the final highlights and shadows. And then now I'm just cleaning off my brush. I'm looking around just like Alan did before. Where do I need this color? I'm just kind of moving it around. So look how that looks furry, right? And then I'm going to add some. This ear on the right side would be darker, a little bit darker maybe if the light source is from there, this side. So I'm still using that same color. I'm putting some under here. It would be a little darker. And then you can fill in this area right here in the ear. We will still make that darker too, but fill that in. And just kind of any place that you see, it would be a little darker. Now this still looks pretty dark and much redder than our ginger color. But now we're going to add some brighter. But let me first get the edge of the head with the darker. Again, you can see I'm holding it this way on vertically and keeping that brush stroke kind of, let's grab a couple up here too. So what we're doing, we're adding our dark that we're going to see through the lighter area. So I'm just putting some up here on the head, and these are going to be covered, but you're going to see this little dark gap between, so whichever way you want the hair to flow, okay? If you want a finer line, you can see I put a little bit of water on my brush and I'm making sure I have that chiseled edge by going like this. And if I turn my brush like this again, you can see I can get a really thin line with this brush too.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so there we go. We have, and then also on top of the nose, I know I'm going fast, so take your time. We'll make sure you catch up. On top of the nose, it's a little darker. So anywhere you see there was a little shadow. So you could see we have under here, you could see this, Alan, it's darker.
Okay.
We added the blue. to it for the
Okay, I gotta
shadow.
do that.
So these are just some of the darker areas. Okay. So now I'm not even worried about cleaning my brush because I'm using the same Venetian red, but I want to brighten it up and give it a little brighter ginger look. So now I'm pulling in that yellow on my palette. And now this is a real pretty, you'll get tones of like the golden color and the yellow, which they can be all of the above. So now I'm coming in on this left side and I'm adding some of this and just kind of follow the same brush strokes that you had. But you can see now it looks like the light is hitting over on this side. And then you can see right here on the face, like under here, it's lighter. That looks good, Roberta. You're a natural.
Thanks.
And you can add a little bit more just to brighten it up. And then we'll go back in and add lighter, again, the yellow and maybe even a little bit of white too. But so right now I'm just going with the yellow, which is still kind of mixed in with the Venetian red. So I'm going over some of those existing brush strokes. It's layering. That's basically when you're painting like this, you're just layering the colors. This yellow is a little bit transparent, which is kind of nice. You could still see that color underneath. And then we want to make sure right here, like I said, this is brighter here. And then under the eye, get that lighter color. And then a little bit of this brighter ginger color right here. Because we want the little chin under the mouth to come forward. So when you see how when it's darker here, the dark colors recede, light colors come forward. So we will make that a little bit darker again to show that we want this face to come forward. Yes, and that's
some dimension.
Does that work
into it.
like that with hair too,
Yes,
right?
it does.
Because I know all
There's more and more things.
I
It just keeps
know.
running through
You
my
are.
head.
Whoa.
Well, and I know I'll keep my natural color in. I like it when the roots start to come in because it gives it depth.
Yes.
So I used to be like, oh, I don't want to see those roots coming in. Now it's different. We do. People
Whoa, you
don't-
ladies are going so deep
Well,
on
and
this.
I mean, a lot of people, they dye their roots dark, right? Or they have light hair
Yes,
because you
on
want that
purpose.
dimension. So
Right.
that looks great. So yeah, so now it's just a matter of layering the highlights and the shadows. So let's fill in the rest of like anything you see white on the head, like the rest of around the eyes. And we could see I'm purposely going over some of that hair. I want some of that golden color in between. Go around the eyes. Now we have, whoops, I should do the head too, up here. So now we have
How
everything.
do I get that gold around it since I'm a little bit behind?
We added the yellow to the Venetian red.
Okay.
More yellow than red.
I will clean and
Yeah. And sometimes when your brush just gets filled with a lot of paint, it's best to
It was
just
too
clean.
much.
Yeah. So now we have that layer, right? So now I'm going to add the yellow. I'm not using the red. I still have it on my brush. Yellow. And now I'm going to introduce some white. So I'm going into the edge of my white. And now I want a lighter yellow. More of a little bit of a, it's still golden. It's a warm color, but I want that lighter. And now I'm not going over everything I did, but I'm just going to hit those highlights. So you can see here, we have, it's lighter here because the light's going to hit the top of the head, right? So think of where that light's going to hit here, here above the nose. So we're going to put this brightest yellow just here. And again, you can see I'm just like putting my brush down, just pushing it down. It just makes it look fuzzy, not as much over here, a little bit. And then under this eye, more here, around the nose, okay. And then definitely on top of the head. So we can use, let's see, the 1/2 inch flat that I'm using. If you go like this, keep it nice. You should see that chiseled edge. I can get a really fine line, even finer than that with this. Or if you're more comfortable, you can grab one of the small liner brushes and use that. But I'm still using this brush, and I'm just coming in. And this is where we might want to use the fan brush. Let's grab.
Whoa.
Do you want to try the fan? Oh, look how cute. Oh my gosh. So cute. I'm going to grab the fan brush for the top of the head. So this little fan brush, so this is a natural bristle. They're a little stiffer, which is better for this technique. If the soft synthetic ones, they bend too much and you can't get this. We want to like kind of a spiky look. So if I put those same colors, the Venetian red, the yellow, and a little bit of white. Now, I'll load my brush. Now, if I want to do this little spiky thing on the, like if I use this fan brush, you'll see I could do it this way. That gives me that kind of a look. I can bring it down if I'm doing it sideways. It's just, it's a spikier kind of vibe if you want. See how if I'm just hitting those little tips, little dry brush, I feel like it might be a little too stiff for this, but I'm going to use the tip of it too. But see how cute? Yeah, but you could see why we did the dark first. So now when you come in with your lighter colors, you're going to overlap this with the lighter tones. Just like pretend you're doing your little girl. So by the way, this is a girl, this is a female, right? We just learned that.
That's right, we did just learn that.
The female Highland cows have thinner horns and they point upward. The males are thicker and it comes forward. So this is a girl, we determined that. And so I might put some flowers on her head too, I'm not sure. So yeah, this actually is okay. I'm using more of a dry brush technique. It's not as wet on this, and I'm using just the corner of it. I feel like you can do this, but it's okay, but I feel like just using the corner of it is kind of nice for this look. And you see how I'm overlapping, like some of the brush strokes, the hair are coming this way for the fur, and some of them are going this way because they're blowing around.
They're all over, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's important too, to get them kind of wispy. So
just like we are all over the place.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. It's all good. So you can just play around with that. Some of them, I'm sure, some of them have longer fur than others, right? Different colors and all. So just make it your own. So that I'm just kind of coming around and hitting little highlights. I'll do a couple little. Now this I can just turn it sideways, and you can see if I just do that little. See how that kind of gives it that little furry look. There's a furry cow happening here. All right, I need to move. I'm going to move on. Okay, so you guys.
Yeah,
I'll make sure you catch up.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need something. But we're going to grab our 1/2 inch again, and put some of that, the Venetian red, and I am going to grab. I'm going to grab the green, and I'm going to mix a dark, really dark color here. Leans toward the green because I do have the green in there, and I'm putting this down in between the flowers. We already have that drawn, and I'm just blocking it in, nothing fancy here. So the red and the green, and it will be a little darker at the bottom. I'll put this up here so you can see a little darker. So I'm going in, and I'm overlapping some of the flowers. It doesn't matter. The flowers are going to be on top. You always work from back to front. So in this section, we're doing the back behind the flowers. And then I do want this a little bit brighter at the top of this, like a little hillside, I guess it would be. So come up yellow here, okay. And I can always add some little highlights after as well. So that just blocked in the background. And then, you guys okay? Let me know if you need something.
Yeah, I'm good.
You want to try that fan brush?
I'm getting there.
Try that fan brush if you want to.
Throw that in there.
And then I'm going to grab, this is the filbert, little curve. This is 11. And the filberts are great for flowers, and this is how you'll see you do that. So this violet, it's really dark. So I want to lighten that up. I'm going to mix some white with it. And this filbert brush is the size of my petal. That's how I'm going to paint this. So if I come in right here and I just lay the brush down flat and I just push it down and pull, we have our petal. And then you just rotate your hand. Okay, so there are the flowers. If you wanted bigger petal, you just twist it like this. You can do that too. Okay. Oops, sorry.
Oh, how pretty.
Yeah, thank you. So that's, so I'm going to just keep painting these. Do you have anything going on at your salon right now? I know, and Roberta is involved in so many different things. You're such a good person. She gives back to the community, and you have a lot of things you're involved in. I know with Hairpiece Charities, right?
Hairpiece Charities.
Bonnie Diver.
With
Yeah,
Bonnie. Yeah,
she's great.
Yeah.
We just finished that, the big one for the year.
That was a great event.
That
was fun.
really was a great event. Our next event is hydrosyphilis.
Oh, okay.
The hydrosyphilis walk is coming
Wow.
up.
Okay. So I'm coming in, I'm finishing. So these you could see, these are in the foreground. So they would be bigger. So when things are further away, they're smaller, less detail. Things are closer, they would have a little more detail in them and be bigger. Okay, so I am throwing these in here, but you can see some of them are darker than others. I'm going to just
Maria,
to
I
give it.
went bold. Look what happened.
Ooh, I like it. She looks like a punk rocker or something. I like it. She's a.
Yeah, and I got to redo the eye. I went over the eye. I got so excited with the colors.
That's okay. You can always add
So
it.
I got to.
So you could see here by having some darker, some variation, some lighter, you could see the lighter ones pop forward, right? The darker ones kind of go back. So if you want a couple little petals to come forward, you just add, oh, my white's drying out. Add some white there. And again, we're blocking everything in. We can go back in once it dries and touch everything up. The centers, I think I'm going to use the Venetian red. I'm just putting a little bit of red in my brush, dabbing those. And then I'm going to grab my flat brush and my green. I'm adding some yellows because I feel like it's a little bit too dark. And I'm just putting some stems in here. Okay, you know there's a lot going on here. And then this, we're just taking this brush and just holding it again. We hold the brushes on their edges often, and you can
Thank
see
you
this.
for the tip. It
Well,
looks
and
better.
this makes a really nice leaf shape. You just push the brush down and, okay. So there's our leaf shape, which this is all I'm doing is this, and then holding the brush that way. And then we can add our little highlights and shadows, but all right, so that's there. Now I'm going to, and you can, we will stop and you guys can finish and all that, so you don't have to, you can take your time painting,
All right.
okay? But I'm going to grab my little round brush and the black. And when you use these brushes, you can see on my palette, I have my paint here, I'm mixing the paint, but then roll the brush like this.
So
And
easy to
twirl
get
it.
so concentrated.
I know.
Right?
I'm
You
right
just like
in there.
zone
But
right
that's
into
good,
it,
though.
right?
And that's good. And,
Yeah.
and it's overwhelming if you think about, oh, I'm painting a cow and I'm doing. But if you just, it's kind of like looking through the lens of a camera, or when you zoom in, like a zoom lens, just zoom in on that section, look at it, lighter, darker, and then zoom out and just go in. And but that's exactly what you do. You
Roberta
do
and I are
focus.
going deep on this.
We
But you
are.
guys, I know, and I'm so used to painting quickly, but that's why I said take your time. We'll get you.
You don't have to worry. I'll catch
we'll
up.
make sure. So now what I'm doing with the black and this little brush, I'm just coming in, I'm using the tip, and I'm purposely adding some water here to keep it a little more fluid. And I'm looking at the darkest, coming in here. I'm putting just a little bit of a contour line, couple little brush strokes, here and there. Not too much, but we really want to make sure we get under this chin, because you can see by adding this dark, you see how that really popped that nose up, right? That mouth.
Yeah.
And that's just light and shadow, the dark and the light, the variation. And then like probably, I feel like I might want to stick just a couple up in here just to define where some of these little hairs are. I can always come back in and add some little lighter ones on top again. So pretty much you go dark to light, then little light to dark with the highlights. You just keep going back in until you feel you've achieved the certain look that you want on each section. The little eyes, now the eyes aren't like round circles. I mean, they kind of are, but they're little, because of the angle of the viewpoint of the face. It's a little flatter on the bottom, okay? And if they're a little bigger, like maybe than they really would be in real life, it's just going to make it look cuter, I think. And you could see, like a maybe a little younger one. A lot of times, animals, even people, when you draw them, if you do their eyes bigger, they look younger, right? Or
Yeah.
even a little lower on the head, so you can see her eyes there. And then I'm going to just lightly define where her nose is. And then this right here, this is inside her little nostril there. That needs to be darker because that is inside. And then, let me see, little mouth. Now this is where their little personalities on each one of our paintings will come to life when you get the eyes and the mouth. And if you happen to do a little line above an eye, that if you're doing an eye and you put a little line this way, it kind of makes them look a little sad or innocent. If you do one the opposite, if it comes in, that makes them look mean, you know, if you did one this way.
Wow.
So we want to make sure we don't bring anything in this way, because this is a cute little happy
Little
cow.
girl.
Yeah. So I just outlined everything here, and then I'm going to put a line. Let's define the horns. And I really don't want them too cartoony looking. I will cover up some of that, but I wanted to make sure we could see where that is. And let's see here. So it looks, you know, she's blocked in, she's happening, but she still needs, you know, everything happening. This looks good. So now I'm going to grab.
She's really coming to life
She
over
is,
there.
I
Yeah.
know. So we're going to grab the 1/2 inch again, and I'm going to fill in for her little nose. Again, like their noses, they might be white, they might be brown, they might be gray. This is art. I'm using purple. I'm using purple because we have purple in the flowers, and I'm using the purple and the white and some of the black, and it'll have a gray tone too, but it's
How do I do the flowers? I missed that
the
segment.
filbert brush,
Which one?
the filbert. Yes.
Yes. All right.
And then purple, the violet with the white. And you
Okay.
can make them dark or light. You know, you could use
Okay.
the variation.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep. And then,
a little bit
and you
behind.
can let that brush be the shape of the petals, and then you can also make them a little bit bigger than that too by just turning the brush. All right,
Yeah.
so I put in the dark. I mixed the purple with the white, and then I'm adding a little bit more as it comes up, because again, the light source, again, it would be brighter, and I'm purposely covering up some of that black because I don't want it to be a real harsh line. So I purposely covered that up, but you could see it's brightest right here, and then there's a highlight here and here, and then inside, I have to grab that little brush again. This should still be a little darker in here, but not quite as dark as this section. So
There's
here.
definitely an eye to this, right?
Yeah.
For
You're
sure.
doing great.
And again, it's just a matter of learning where your light source. If you have a light source, you determine your light source. That helps because you would know that.
You told me the left, so I'm looking for that.
Yeah, and so it would be darker in here, and then we would have our little highlight. The highlights are the best part. So okay, the eyes are the best, right? The most fun. So I'm going to do those next. I'm going to put my little highlights here first. I take that back. I'm going to put just a clean white, putting a couple little dots here. I'll do a couple little dots here. And the highlights you could see how this pops with that clean white. Just look at those tiny little spots. Just add so much to it. Now the eyes are they're just there, right? They're there. It's cute, but watch the little highlight. We're going to put it on the same place on both eyes. If you put one on this side and one on this side, or one in and one out, they're googly-eyed, right?
Well, you don't want to make them cross-eyed.
No, exactly.
Mine might be. I
But
don't
you know
know.
what?
Don't,
And that's okay,
don't
too.
say anything.
That's
It
okay
might be.
too. But I'm putting
warning
mine.
you.
Yeah, upper right, and that's it. But you could see just by putting that little highlight, it just makes their eyes come to life. I feel like the highlights are a little bit too big, so I'm taking the black and making it a little bit smaller. But you could see by having that little highlight in there, it just like comes to life. Now I'm going back in, and I'm just going to tweak everything. Mix whatever colors you want for the horns. I'm just cleaning off my brush. I'm just going to throw in, again, any colors that are on your palette. Just get some color. I'm assuming they're like a white or a gray or a, a light color, but we're creating art here, so we're going to add some of the colors that we're using here. All right, so I added whatever was on my brush. There was blue, there was violet, there was black, and now I'm going to add some highlights to the top. And I'm just turning my brush on its side again and kind of sweeping it through. There would be a little bit more on this upper ridge of the horn because, again, the light source. Another thing to do to help if you want to paint and just help your eye, train your eye to pay attention to the light sources and shadows. It's just when you're sitting around or you're at a traffic light or even at home watching TV, just every once in a while a commercial comes on, look at your lamp and how it's casting a shadow on your table.
Or I've seen that.
I do that a lot, and I don't even realize I'm doing it as much now, but I do, and it really helps just kind of train your eye. You don't even have to think about it so much. It just comes naturally once you exercise that a little more to help pick that up. And it just makes it easier.
That's so interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and it just makes it easier when you paint. So everything is blocked in here. I still need to tweak it a little bit, but we're going to stop and let these guys finish their paintings, and I'll just finish mine up, like, just a couple little touches, and then we will be back to reveal the little Highland cows. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we finished our paintings, and let's reveal our little Highland cows. Look at our little girls. You guys did a great job.
Thank you, Maria. I needed all your help.
Thank you, Roberta.
Thank you. Thank you both.
And
Thanks
thank
for
you
being
for
a
everything
great
you do
guest.
for people in the community and others, and making people happy and helping
Well,
with what you do. You make a big difference.
You
so.
have to give back.
Yeah.
If that's one thing I've learned through all these years, you have to give
Yeah.
back.
I practice that too, so we're in the same group
Yeah.
here.
There you go.
That's
All
Yep.
three
good.
of us. So,
Yep.
and
All
your
right.
painting is just great.
They are so
Yeah,
sweet.
Yours is great.
Well,
I
thank
love
you.
it.
I
So we
appreciate
did determine these are girls. So
Yes.
So
No.
okay. So let's. That was Stage Boy. All right. The next episode, 22.
Yes. 2-2.
22. We're going to paint. These are African penguins. And there's a place in Pittsburgh where you can go see African penguins. And someone from this special place is going to be here to paint these with us. And we will learn about penguins. So, okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time.